Hi, this is James of Limit+1, filming on behalf of I&D today. We are actually doing the installation for the Motorsports Plus race style yellow DRL kit for the GR Corolla. Here we have our DRL module. The first thing you're gonna notice, I'm wearing gloves. These are circuit boards, you need to be careful with them. You don't want the oils from your skin on them. Make sure you're wearing gloves, and especially make sure you're not touching the actual LEDs inside the module. The other great thing you'll notice is this blue tape here is actually covering the adhesive that actually is going to seal this and adhere it to the heatsink that is actually in the DRL module. Here we are in the engine bay of the GR Corolla. Generally, you can get to these modules and change them from the engine bay or the fender liner. Unfortunately, on the GR Corolla, that is not the case. Back in the corner here, you'll be able to see the actual DRL housing. You can get to the front bolt. There is no way in the world you can get to the back, so we are actually going to have to remove the front bumper cover. First part of this procedure is we're actually going to remove the upper engine cowling here. This is going to give us access to some of the headlight hardware and as well as releasing the bumper cover from the core support. There are 6 total Phillips head screws holding on the top edge of the bumper. On each end, the last one on each side is actually hidden underneath the hood sealing gasket. So we'll just go ahead and remove these with a Phillips head screwdriver. We're gonna have to remove the 3 10mm bolts that hold on this plastic bezel that actually holds in the Toyota emblem and the small vents that feed the air intake. To release each corner of the bumper, all you have to do is depress this little pin right here, and that'll release it from the headlight. There are 3 small push retainers that hold the fender liner to the bumper cover. After that, there is 1 larger flange style push retainer that holds the fender liner to the bumper cover. You can just remove these with a small screwdriver. The next thing you'll have to do is remove all of the 10mm bolts that attach the bumper cover to the lower shields. They just run in a line along the edge of the bumper cover all the way around. Next thing you can do is begin to separate the bumper cover from all of its supports. You'll just want to gently pry on the cover. And that'll separate it at the corner. We'll keep working our way around the headlight, releasing the bumper from its retaining clips. Just go slow and apply even pressure, and it'll come loose. Before fully disconnecting the other side from the headlight, make sure that you have a friend to hold the other end of the bumper just so it doesn't come crashing off. There are 3 plugs on the bumper cover. The first one's going to be the Toyota emblem that actually houses your radar system. There's 1 more plug on each side, that's for your fog light. Finally, we can pull out the headlight. There are 4 10mm bolts that hold it in. Before pulling out the headlight, you are going to have to lift this rear tab just a little bit, and it'll pop it loose. From there, it is a little bit of a tug to get the headlight out. Once you have it out, there's 1 electrical connector right here. And then there's also a push retainer you do have to pop out as well, and that holds the wiring harness to the headlight. One of the first things that you'll notice when you go to remove the heatsink from the headlight is the hardware. These are actually T20Hs, also known as T20 security Torx bits. You will have to get a special bit to remove these. There's actually 3 bolts, 1 deep down in that corner there, and that's how we'll remove the heatsink to get to the board. Once you remove all the hardware, you will notice when you go to remove this, it's a little snug. There is just a gasket that holds the heatsink into place. Now that we have the heatsink out, we can go ahead and disconnect the wiring harness that connects to the DRL module. There's a little depression tab right in the center to disconnect that. Gently wiggle it, and it'll pop out. To remove the DRL module from the heatsink, you need to use a T10 Torx. There's a couple dabs of OEM adhesive and heatsink paste that's underneath the actual LEDs. When you pull it up, you will feel a little bit of tension, and you can see that on the bottom. The next step is remove the adhesive from the heatsink. For us, we're just going to use a little microfiber towel, and it wipes off fairly easily. Before reinstallation, verify that you are using the correct side module. They're labeled with an L and an R. Then you can flip it over and remove the backing that covers the adhesive. You can then flip it back over and gently reinstall. Once you have the module back into the heatsink housing, go ahead and reinstall the 1T10 Torx that holds it into the center of the housing. Now that we have the module reinstalled in the heatsink, we're going to go ahead and reconnect it to the actual headlight housing. Remember to have the locking tab on the wiring harness facing towards you at the top, and then very gently plug it in until you hear a click. Slowly work the gasket back down into the headlight so that we remain having a good sealing surface. We can now begin reassembly of the vehicle. We're going to start with putting the headlight back in the car. You just want to take this headlight tab, snap it back into this location, and then reinstall the connector. We can now slip the headlight back into position. It's a pretty tight fit. Make sure you press this tab back down to lock it into place. Now that we've got the headlight back into place, we're actually going to repeat the process on the other side of the car. Quickly install that one back into the place. We're going to mount these up fully, and we're actually going to slide the bumper over to the car so that we can hook up the sensors and test the function of these prior to actually fully installing the bumper, just to make sure that they are functioning properly. We move the bumper over so that we're not going to get any check engine lights and faults for the front sensor system when we do power on the car. Now that both the headlights are installed and secured, we're going to go ahead and take the bumper cover and mock it up onto the car so that we can plug in not only the sensor in the front, but also the fog lights, so that we can test the headlights before final assembly, but without throwing check engine lights. Now that we have the bumper mocked up with the sensor plugged in, the fog lights plugged in, we're going to go ahead and get to see that these lights working for the first time in the nice yellow color. With everything installed and functioning properly on the vehicle, we can go ahead and just reverse the process of disassembly to get this bumper cover back on the car, installing fender liners, under trays, trim panels on the top, and then we're ready to go. Now that we have finished up the Motorsports Plus Yellow DRL kit for the GR Corolla, we actually are maintaining stock hazard and turn signal functionality. Everything is working perfectly. I wanted to go ahead and thank Jack from SavageGeese for actually donating his car today to us to do the installation. You can get this kit right now on Limit+1 or through IND distribution. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll have more videos coming for you soon on the GR Corolla.